Let's just continue, George. We know that you have just done your final year project and it was a wonderful video. So may we know more about it for those who have yet to see it?
Okay, so those who have yet to see it, I think this whole entire final year project, so to kind of like complete our final year project, every student were given the same kind of theme to follow. So luckily for me, like this theme is something very broad. So there's a lot of areas that I can explore into. So for this final year project, this whole entire video was actually about the story of how I came from a marine biotechnology background into figuring out that I really love to do filmmaking. So this whole entire video kind of have this message is that you need to, it kind of shows like the difference in not doing something that you love compared to doing something that you really believe in and something that you are passionate about. So this whole video, there's like these two sides of the world. So I think that's.
And then can we know what is the inspiration for your idea for this final year project?
So the inspiration wise, there's like quite a lot of people, like artists and everything, filmmakers. For example, directors like Christopher Nolan and the film Oppenheimer, which very like kind of largely influenced this whole entire final year project, because a lot of the shots and ideas I actually rewatched how they did it and I try to do it myself. And also artists like DPR, Ian, and they are like how to say, they are artists who have like amazing music and everything, but their cinematography, their theme, their visuals and everything inspired a lot of the kind of short ideas that I really want to take. And I really admire how they are able to tell a message by using a visual. So that's why I always continue to watch their content and I try to take in as much as I can so that I can one day, be able to convey my own messages using a similar method. Yeah.
Thank you.
Were there any special equipment or tool that you use in your final year project?
I think aside from a camera and a tripod, one other special one is it's kind of like it's the DJI Action 4. It's like kind of this small GoPro. So this thing it's small, it's waterproof, and it's more durable. So in one of the scenes, I actually was underwater. So all thanks to this small camera. And there's quite a few scenes where, for example, if I'm falling down at the sand or anything, I would use this because I couldn't risk damaging the big camera. So yeah, this is I think one of the special things I use.
The sound effect that were used in the final year project were very shocking. Maybe know how did you learn it?
So like in terms of sound effect, everything aside from I guess some of the ambience was actually live recorded through the camera, but some of the sound effects maybe like the visual, more impactful, the particles spinning, everything. I actually used a platform called Artlist, so you have a bunch of sound effects there. So over the years of doing this, I think it also comes down to experience to kind of like know how do you layer each sound effect so that you are able to get the sound that is closer to reality as possible. So normally what I would do is I already know that this final project is going to be played in the cinema. So with that, I really want to utilize that loudspeaker. That's why I made sure that at the back of every impactful scene, I would have this like very low cinematic rumble bass, so that even though it's quiet, people can still hear a little bit of vibration at the back. So with that, it adds in a very fundamental layer, and I would just add in maybe like 3 to 4 more layers. Even if I'm walking, I would add in 2 footstep layers so that one stimulates the heel, another one stimulates impacting on the ground. So that kind of creates a very more complete kind of sound effect. Yeah.
So I want to ask, how much did you spend for this entire project?
As final year project students in advertising, we were all given a month to kind of complete this, but I would say lesser than a month, because aside from our own final year project, we also need to commit to creating the exhibition. So all in all, I think it took me like maybe 1 week and a half to finalize on the idea, storyboard everything, get approval from supervisor. And after that, I think it took me another like 3 to 5 days. I think a little bit more as well to kind of film everything, because I had to film everything piece by piece. Yeah. So after that, it took me I think 3 to 4 days to kind of do the editing. So I think off and on, I think I actually fully utilized that whole 1 month.
Oh.
Yeah.
So around like the whole month doing editing?
Yeah, I was
Mm.
doing editing at the same time that I was filming. So after
Oh.
I finish this, I will cross it. I don't even have a storyboard actually for this one. So I only have a list of kind of shots that I really want to take, and also kind of like what's that called? Kind of script thing, because I know I want to do narration. So I only have that, and whenever I finish this one part, I'll get to my laptop and then just start editing, and then I'll move on to the next one.
So like how much money do you spend? I mean,
How much money?
yeah.
Like the budget of
Yeah,
everything?
the budget.
Okay, so in terms of like camera gears and everything, I already have, so I'm not gonna consider that in. I think off and on, I expected, I think 400 or lesser, maybe not more. Because a lot of the things I spend on is more so on transportation, on how I go there. But let me think about it. I think it's much lesser because a lot of the camera equipments I already have. Yeah.
So no sponsorship?
No, there's no
Yeah.
sponsorship. Yeah. No
So-
sponsorship. Aside from my parents, but then yeah,
Oh.
there's no sponsorship. Yeah.
So I watched your final year project and I noticed that you mentioned that you want to be the marine filmmaker. So is that really true? Like you want to be a marine filmmaker? Because this field is not really famous in this industry in Malaysia right now.
Yeah, I mean, at that time, advertising didn't come to mind when I was in marine biotechnology. So I feel like I was very afraid to want to fully change and commit to this change. That's why I felt like, okay, since I'm already in this marine field, why not I try to find an alternative that kind of satisfies both worlds. So since I know I like filmmaking as well, I did try to look into ways in how I can develop myself to get into this marine filmmaker field. So I started to watch like YouTube videos of actual people who study marine biology, but they're also doing content and making films. So I also like the fact that if I am a marine filmmaker, I may be able to kind of travel the world, go under water and then diving and everything. Yeah.
Like documentary.
Yeah, like documenting what I see, all those like marine creatures, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed that there is one scene that seems like you were filming in the water, like the water droplets. Can you please tell us how you filmed that part?
So, okay, so that was the first thing that I shot for my entire final year project, because I know that I wanted that to be the introduction to the film. So I started to look for my ability to access kind of like public pools, swimming pools. So luckily for me, my own house, that area, that kind of neighborhood, there's this access to a public pool. It's not that deep. It's like, I think 1.4 meters. So it's quite shallow, but I think it is the only thing that I have. So what I did is I actually got the DJI camera, and the first thing that straight away came to mind is how do I place it at one distance and film myself jump at the same time. So what I did is I placed it on like kind of like this stick that came with the camera, and once that's done, I tried to kind of like weigh it down, so that no matter the impact of the water, the waves or anything, the camera won't even move. So I just had to kind of wear this goggle and then go down, and then I have to just like kind of put it down in the water, press record, and then I have to swim back up. And because I don't want it to just be, I tried to film this thing both during daytime and nighttime, but during daytime, it didn't give that much of a very impact. So I decided to go nighttime, but there's also one issue in nighttime is that there's no light. So I had to kind of bring a very big light and just kind of like shoot it directly down at the water, so it creates like a surface light, like a moon or like the sun, something like that. So once the camera is done, the lighting is done, it just matters like whether or not I can jump in the right way and the right framing. So I actually recorded myself doing that as well, and I think it took me over like 40 minutes to keep swimming up and down, jumping, and then it was interesting, but it's also awkward because there's like a bunch of people behind me swimming as well. So they're just seeing this very random dude wearing full white and then just keep jumping down, going back up, and I even hear them say like what is this guy doing?
About a
Is it-
lifeguard, like,
I'm lucky that there's no lifeguard there. I was kind of scared that the guard would suddenly come and tell me like, oh, you cannot do this. That's why like, I had to take my chances. But luckily that night there weren't many people. Yeah, except for the few people swimming at the back. But it's all good. Yeah, it took me quite sometimes, but it's fun.
So this is the most memorable scene in your final year project or others?
Okay, so this is definitely one of it. I would say the next most memorable scene is me sitting in the middle of the ocean out of nowhere. So that was a shot that I've really kind of pictured in my mind for a very long time. I had to travel all the way to Port Dickson early in the morning. I left here at 5 a.m. so that I reached there at 6, and it was actually too early that everything was still pitch black. So I had to wait there for another hour, and then I had to go there during low tide, and I just put my chair down there and then just film everything. Yeah.
If you could change only one scene in your final year project, what would it be and why?
If I could change only one scene, I mean, I feel like this final year project, although it's something that I really like, but there's a lot of bugs inside it. If there's one scene in particular, is I guess it's the way how I ended it towards the end. So I feel like towards the end, especially when there's a scene where I was like in like kind of in the middle of the forest, which I also filmed it at Xiamen. So it was right at the back area, the jungle area. So I feel like that part itself didn't really give a very satisfying end. I feel like it. The more I watched it, the more I felt like it was a bit too sudden. So I think if I could change one thing, is maybe kind of like add more scenes to that, and then make it have a bit more meaningful, meaningful end. Yeah.
What trends do you think are happening in the film industry, and how would they affect you?
I think it's both easy and hard to spot the trend now. Like there's a lot of things on social media, and you can easily feel like, oh, this is the trend, and then you can easily do it. More and more people are appreciating, there's lesser people appreciating actual contents by filmmakers and everything. Because I can see like how someone who is just maybe, I'm not saying that they're not talented, they have their own talents, but maybe compared to a filmmaker who has a maybe better quality of work, they are getting lesser exposure than someone who is just maybe filming a cat or a plant or something like that. So there is this trend, I guess, that it's starting to shift where people are more appreciative of lifestyle contents and maybe not so more on documentary and everything, which is why, for example, my film is also very hard, and I also know that it's very hard to reach many more people nowadays. So I think like one thing maybe this will change is a lot of filmmakers and everything, they will start to switch their content up to be more lifestyle, showing how their life is going on as a filmmaker itself, which is also pretty good. Or they might try to explore on how to give value to people, because I think now the trend is also people want to be able to learn something from their videos. They don't just want to see like how you can create a good film, but they want to know how.
Yeah, we can see that.
Yeah, so that's why like I think, for example, like William, he's able to create like very good videos, and he shows you the behind the scenes. He's able to make good food, and he shows you behind the scenes, the recipes and everything. So like there's a lot of like these trends that people want value.
Yeah, we can see. So would you focus on more like which field would you focus on for the future? Like maybe wedding production or short video production, like any field would you like to pursue on?
I've not really committed to wedding filming before, but I've tried a little bit of taste of wedding filming. I don't really like that because I'm quite introverted. So to be doing in wedding filmmaking, I have to interact with a whole bunch of people, and if there's an issue, they will all come back to me. So I feel like that's something that I don't really want to carry on for the rest of my life. So I wouldn't really go into wedding. I would probably most continue doing content creation, filmmaking, documentary, showing about lifestyle stuff. But I think now there's like a bunch of things about AI, OpenAI, Sora and everything, which all these AI, if they continue to advance, I feel like in the next probably 4 to 5 years, a lot of the contents that we are seeing now will soon become obsolete, because people will be able to create videos just like that, and they don't really need anyone with camera or anything. So I think like probably in the future, the only things that still require people to film will actually be exhibition events and weddings, because these are things that AI can't fake it. Although I don't like wedding and everything, maybe sooner or later I have to turn to this side, because although passion and love matters, but you still need to be able to live your life. Yeah.
So we can see that you're pursuing your filmmaking production.
Mhm.
Is there anyone you wish to collaborate in the future?
There's quite a few though. Although I've collaborated with William before, but I would love to get a chance to work with him again because he's someone who really knows a lot of stuff. So like to be able to work with him, I can also learn a lot more. I guess like another one is a Malaysian kind of filmmaker. He's called Shafwan. So I watch his content and everything. It is also very, very good compared to a lot of other filmmakers. I actually managed to bump into him, get a picture once, but to be able to have the opportunity to work with him in the future would be very
We trust you.
future,
in
thank
the
you, thank you. In the future, yeah.
So have you ever regretted to choosing this career instead of else?
I have definitely not regretted choosing this and making that decision to kind of switch because I feel like before I changed, I felt like my life was always the same. It was everything very kind of like very low. There's not much changes. I don't meet anyone. I'm just kind of in my own bubble. But after doing this for a very long time, not only have I met like people who are there, like amazing people who have great connections, people who know more about the world more than me, but I also kind of like exit my own comfort zone, my own bubble. Making this decision to change definitely isn't a regret because I felt like I grew much more, when doing this.
What life lesson have you learned from your film journey and make it so far, and how did it affect you?
I think one thing is I started off doing this because I feel like I want to create a video that I like. But one thing that I really learned is that not everything is always about you. You can do things that you like, and if you want to expect people to like it as well, it's not always going to happen. So I feel like sometimes like there's no choice. Like, although you can definitely find a balance, you can do what you like and people will like it as well. But to get to that point, you need a lot of trial and error. And I think one of the lessons is that you have to be willing to always see how you see your mistakes, see where you've done wrong, and have the openness to accept criticism from people. Because I've seen like a lot of people when they come into this field, they already have this self pride, and they have their own arrogance into it. And no matter what people say, they wouldn't change because they felt like I really done my best, but actually they can be doing much better. So I feel like this is one thing that is like the continuous acceptance of your mistakes and then also growing from all those mistakes.
Will you continue pursuing in this field in the future? And can we know why do you want to do so?
I've been doing this for I think three years now throughout the whole advertising thing, and I still see myself doing this in the upcoming, like in the future and everything. So I will definitely still continue because I feel like at this point, ever since I was a kid, I don't know what I'm actually good at or what can I bring value to people. Like a lot of like even my parents, my brothers, they're all very good. They have their own very focused area that they're very good at, talented at, sports or anything. When I found out that okay, I like filmmaking and I actually start doing it, and when I start to receive a little bit of like recognition, I start to kind of appreciate it, and then I feel like this is something that not only I can bring value to people, but it's also something valuable to me. So this is something that drives me to continue to kind of like move on.
So like you want to move on with your filmmaking journey, right? So like what is the ultimate goal as you continue producing?
When I first started, because like a lot of the people that inspire me are either film directors or travel filmmakers. So I guess when I first started, my end goal was to become a travel filmmaker, to be able to get paid to travel around the world, and then also that's like the perfect dream job for a lot of people. But now I feel like this is very embarrassing, but I have a fear of flights, so I don't really like to take airplanes. So if that's one of my fears, I couldn't really travel a lot. So now I'm kind of like rethinking my path. But I think the end goal definitely would still be, of course, to be a travel filmmaker, to be able to film things that I want. So also content creation wise, yeah. But I don't really want to be like a film director or anything, because that is a bit too much. Maybe when I'm old. I never know. Yeah, maybe when I'm old. Yeah, maybe not right now. Yeah.
So here is some extra question. I see that when you're shooting your advertisement, that you is more likely to use the time lapse skills. So is this your personal style, or?
I think the time lapse thing, that is something that I'm trying to explore newly. It's something that I'm just recently exploring. I think like last time I had this conversation with some of the people that I know, that they kind of mentioned how I have this certain theme and style into my videos, and one of that is the use of kind of slow motions or maybe a bit more close-up shots. But now I'm trying to explore new things, maybe wider shots, trying to implement more kind of special effects like time-lapse that you just mentioned into the video to make it more interesting and appealing.
And now we can see that in Xiaohongshu or more something like Facebook, for freelancer, the video editing price or video shooting price is more lower and lower. So is this affect you, or you have other things like something you want to say about this?
Okay, so I think like doing filmmaking and freelance and everything, it's a field unlike any other, not like any other jobs. Like other jobs, you have this certain pay schedule. Like every month you get this salary. But for doing filmmaking and freelancing, it all comes down to your experience and how much you value yourself and how much people think you are worth. Because I feel like if let's say you say, okay, I have maybe 10 years of this, I can charge you maybe 4,000 in one day just to help you take the camera and film. But if that person feels like you are just taking a camera, and then no matter how good your stuff is, that person will not pay you 4,000. They will try to bring it down. So I feel like to be in this field it's not easy. You either get lucky and find people who really value your work, or you are able to expose yourself that much so that people don't have to doubt you and they really know that you're worth this much. The pricing wise, I feel like it's always up and down. I've heard like one of the photographers, he's like a photographer for a wedding. So he said like before COVID, he was able to charge up to like maybe 8,000 for a day. And then now after COVID, he charged maybe 4,000 to 6,000. It dropped down a lot. So it varies a lot. Yeah.
Last but not least, as a spoiler for others, what and when can other people expect for your next project?
Whoa. I mean, like no lah. There's I don't know if there's like any spoiler or anything, but like I'm not too sure when I can once again have the time to kind of create like a short film like this. But I think one upcoming thing that I'm currently planning is I did think about whether or not I can actually create like a sequel to the Hourglass film. So instead of talking about how I went from before, now it's talking about how the things I'm going through currently, when I'm already doing the things that I love, like will there still be challenges and how I overcome them. This is something that I'm still kind of like planning. But one thing that I guess is I want to explore more on how I can play around with visual storytelling to kind of convey my emotions and everything, how I'm feeling. So I think this is one of the upcoming projects that I'm currently also in the works already of doing it. I'm not too sure when they can expect it. In the planning, yeah, in the planning, it might take a while. But my goal is hopefully to be able to kind of come out with something by this year, by maybe, I don't know, after I finish my internship. Yeah.
When would you finish your internship?
My internship ends at late June, so most likely towards the end of this year. Yeah.
Maybe you can see your video end of the year.
Yeah. At that time, I already graduated already. So yeah.
Thank you for
thank you.
interview and thank you for being here today.
Okay, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
giving this opportunity.